It's 1:17 a.m. You are not talking to anyone, and yet you are in the middle of a conversation. Again, you replay what they said, then what you said, then what you should have said. A better answer appears, a better joke, a sharper comeback, and suddenly you are arguing with a version of someone who is not even in the room. Here's the strange part. You already know this will not change anything. The conversation is over. The person has moved on. The world has moved on. But your brain has not. Why? Why can a 30-second interaction occupy your mind for 3 days? Why do some conversations vanish instantly, while others seem to follow you for years? The answer has almost nothing to do with the conversation itself, and everything to do with how your brain was built. Picture your ancestors 20,000 years ago. You say the wrong thing. You offend the wrong person. You lose the trust of the group. Today, that is embarrassing. Back then, it was potentially fatal. No group meant less food, less protection, less support. Your survival depended entirely on other people. The social bond was not a luxury. It was life itself. So your brain evolved to treat social mistakes with extraordinary importance. Even now, even in a world where one awkward conversation will not get you thrown out into the wilderness, your nervous system never got the memo. The world changed. Your wiring did not. Researchers call this social monitoring, a system quietly running in the background of your mind, always checking, always scanning, always asking the same silent question. Am I still accepted? Most of the time, the answer is yes. So the system stays quiet. But then something feels off. A weird look, a delayed reply, an awkward silence, a conversation that ended a little differently than expected. And suddenly your brain zooms in. Not because the moment was important, because it was uncertain. And uncertainty is where the real story begins. Think about it. You rarely replay conversations that went perfectly. You do not spend 3 hours analyzing a normal greeting. You do not lie awake replaying a joke that landed. You replay the awkward ones, the confusing ones, the unfinished ones, the conversations that left a question mark hanging in the air. Psychologists have known about this for nearly a century. In the 1920s, researcher Bluma Zeigarnik discovered something strange. People remember unfinished things far better than finished ones. Incomplete tasks, unanswered questions, open loops. Your brain hates loose ends. It wants closure. And an awkward conversation is one of the biggest loose ends it can find. The conversation ended. The questions did not. What did they mean by that? Why did they pause? Were they annoyed? Did I sound stupid? Do they think differently about me now? The words are gone. The uncertainty remains. So your brain keeps returning to the scene like a detective convinced it missed a clue. Again, and again, and again. But there is another layer to this. One that is a little uncomfortable. Because most of the time, you are not actually analyzing the other person. You are analyzing yourself. Let me guess what happens next. You replay the conversation. Then you analyze their tone. Then their expression. Then the 3 seconds of silence after your joke. Then you remember another awkward interaction from months ago. Now you are analyzing 2 conversations. Then 5. Then somehow you are auditing your entire personality because of one weird moment on a Tuesday afternoon. Sound familiar? That is because conversations are secretly mirrors. You think you are studying another person, but often you are studying your own reflection in their reaction, and your brain can become obsessed with what it sees, especially when it is not sure what it means. Here's the funny part. The person you are worrying about is probably doing the exact same thing right now about you. Psychologists call this the spotlight effect. In one well-known study led by Thomas Gilovich at Cornell, people were asked to wear an embarrassing t-shirt into a room full of strangers. Before entering, they guessed how many people would notice. Their guesses were consistently far too high. In reality, most people barely registered the shirt at all. Why? because everyone else in that room was too busy starring in their own imaginary spotlight to notice yours. While you lie awake wondering what they think about you, someone else is lying awake wondering what everyone thinks about them. Two overthinking brains, each convinced they are the main character. Neither one is. And yet the replay continues. Because underneath all of this is something deeper than embarrassment, deeper than overthinking, a need that has followed humans for hundreds of thousands of years, the need to belong, to be accepted, to matter, to feel understood. Neuroscientist Naomi Eisenberger and her colleagues found that social rejection activates some of the same brain regions involved in physical pain. Your brain does not treat connection as a bonus feature. It treats it as a biological necessity, which means every conversation carries invisible weight. Every interaction becomes evidence. Do I fit in here? Am I respected? Am I valued? Am I safe? Most of the time, the answer is yes. But your brain was never built to focus on what is fine. It was built to notice what might be wrong. That is why one awkward moment can outweigh 10 good ones. That is why one strange comment echoes louder than 100 compliments. Your brain is not a happiness machine. It is a survival machine. And survival machines pay close attention to potential threats, even when those threats exist only inside your imagination. Here is the part almost nobody tells you. Replaying conversations rarely gives you what you are looking for. You think one more replay will reveal the answer. But eventually you discover something. There was never enough information to solve the mystery in the first place. Some conversations do not come with closure. Some people never explain what they meant. Some questions stay unanswered forever. And maybe that is okay. Because confidence is not the absence of overthinking. It is knowing the exact moment overthinking stopped being useful. It is recognizing when you have learned everything there is to learn and refusing to run another lap around the same track. So tonight, if your brain drags you back into a conversation that ended hours ago, remember this. Your mind is not broken. It is doing exactly what it evolved to do over hundreds of thousands of years, searching for certainty, searching for belonging, searching for answers. But some conversations do not need another replay. They need a final goodbye. And sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is stop trying to rewrite the past and finally let the conversation end.